And Deontay Wilder look to settle things Saturday night in Las Vegas in their rematch. It has been a long and winding road to this moment, as Joe Tessitore explains.
Deontay Wilder points out his ultra-explosive 2019 as a big positive.
To get ready for this particular fight, I came off with 2 dramatic, devastating knockouts.
A first-round knockout of Dominic Breazeale dropped jaws, then his November rematch with veteran skilled challenger Louis Ortiz, equally impressive. And a bit risky. Wilder trailed on the scorecards, but his ultimate eraser finished things in 7.
The Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Fury's 2019 was far more unpredictable. He chose a new promotional partner, a new TV network.
Just want to show the ESPN Plus viewers the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
And a starring role in Vegas. Flawless in a June knockout of Tom Schwartz, badly bloodied and brawling for victory over Otto Wallin in September.
Deontay Wilder, I want you next, bum!
47 stitches later, he was off to headline a global WWE pay-per-view.
This isn't your world, Fury.
His popularity soared as Wilder waited.
This is finishing what I started. This time around, he won't be able to get up.
And now, 2 very different roads taken have the chance reunited for this ultimate showdown.
Will Tyson Fury's prediction of a second-round knockout against Wilder come true? Wilder Fury 2, Saturday night, 9 Eastern, from the MGM Grand in Vegas, live on pay-per-view and ESPN Plus. To order the main card, go to espnplus.com/top-rank and be sure to download the ESPN app if you're watching on your mobile device. Back to the NFL. Jameis Winston, an up-and-down year, to say the very least. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the same season. Diving deeper into the picks, Winston had 9 multi-interception games this year. His 30 interceptions were the most by any quarterback since Vinny Testaverde in 1988. However, he also led the NFL in passing yards with over 5,100, and by doing so became just the 8th quarterback in NFL history with over 5,000 passing yards in a single season. And Mike Tannenbaum, you were telling us that you believe that there was split opinion inside the building on him. I always joke that with every game he starts, they should just start the game 14-14. He's going to throw 2 touchdowns for his team. He's going to throw 2 touchdowns for the other team, and then we're going to see what happens from there. Is he a quarterback you want as your starter going forward?
Absolutely not. The job description of a starting quarterback is to give your team a chance to win. And here's a statistic that's really meaningful. Since he's been in the league, guys, they are in the top 5 in delay a game. So we could talk about all the turnovers, which he's led the league over the last 5 years, but the delay a game is a lack of awareness, and he has not developed where he needs to be. And there is a split because the front office drafted him, and they see a lot of good things he could do. But to have sustained greatness, and Greeny, you've watched the Jets and Patriots for years, and Tom Brady never loses a game. He always puts his team in a position to have a chance. Jameis Winston keeps the other team in the game, as you mentioned, and you can't have sustainable success when you have a quarterback that does that.
I should point out quickly, he could be a free agent. So we are talking about literally the decision whether they bring him back and re-sign him, or he becomes an unrestricted free agent and every team in the league might have a shot. Do you want him?
I do because, Mike T, you said the job of a quarterback is to give the team a chance to win. He does that. He just also gives this team a chance to lose, to be fair. Now, if you're Jameis, you have to understand, and more importantly, if you're Bruce Arians, football players are some of the most physically imposing and demonstratively just brute force type of men that exist, but their egos are incredibly fragile. And Bruce Arians is killing Jameis with his quotes. He says, well, there has to be a better option out there. He said, man, if I can win with Jameis, I can win with somebody else. So at this point, although I like Jameis, I don't know if you can bring him back.
So, Graziano, let's play the game out. If the Buccaneers decide they're not all in on Jameis Winston, all of a sudden he becomes, I don't know exactly how attractive, but certainly a very interesting name in the quarterback carousel.
He does. The one thing you hear about Jameis Winston is the Buccaneers know him better and probably like him better than another team might, right? They know the good things. You talk about giving yourself a chance to win the game. From inside that Buccaneers building, you can talk to people who say, look, he's very good. He keeps us in the game in the fourth quarter. If we're behind, then he can lead us back, and we've seen him do that. The problem is oftentimes they're behind because he's turned the ball over too much. Can you get that ironed out after 5 years? If they don't bring him back, the market for Jameis Winston is a big question mark. And I think you could be in a situation as Jameis Winston where you have to go somewhere and compete for a starting job rather than just walk right in there. I think the best chance for him to start is for Tampa Bay to bring him back.
Agreed. I think you nailed it. He's a free agent. So if you're them, you could go get Teddy Bridgewater at a comparable number with a really good defense, an underrated defense, and put yourself in a position to compete in 2020. And it doesn't cost you anything in terms of draft capital.
Just remember this, Jameis Winston, he's one of 8 quarterbacks in NFL history to have thrown for 5,000 yards. Now, 30 for 30 season. Can't do it. Can't have 30 interceptions. But if you can just scale that 30 number back to 15, you're still talking about a phenomenal quarterback.
This is a guy who we still talk about as though he's a rookie. Like he's coming in. Is he going to be the #1 pick? Because he's got so much development. He's been there 5 years. To me, this isn't getting enough conversation. We'll see what winds up happening with Jameis Winston. Meanwhile, the NBA players have a few more days off for the All-Star break. Then the playoff push begins. Friday night, our doubleheader starts in OKC with Jokic and the Nuggets taking on Chris Paul and the Thunder at 8 Eastern. Then you will see Zion and the Pelicans in a battle with the Blazers. Our coverage starts with NBA Countdown, 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Laura.
So the second half of the NBA season is upon us. We have Doris Burke here. She has her second half storylines. Doris, let's start with the Clippers. Would you take the Clippers or the field to get out of the West?
I would take the Clippers, and I think it has everything to do with the defensive end of the floor. They now have legitimately 4 different guys who can go and get you 30. But Kawhi's the best individual perimeter defender in the league right now. He is holding opponents to 26%. They can protect the rim. The one weakness they think they do have is on the glass. You can get to them. They're giving up the second most second chance points in the league, but I think their ceiling on both ends is the highest.
I love it. The Lakers, of course, with that #1 record in the West. Let's talk about the Bucks. If any team can stop them, who is it?
Well, it's interesting. You hear a lot of rumblings that no one fears the Bucks, but we cannot discount that they are on in historic pace, the best in history at protecting the rim. So those restricted area points that everybody wants, they do the best of that. What they concede is threes. In the 8 losses, they are giving up 17 threes at 43%. And the referendum will come in the postseason. Will Bud be willing to adjust and change his defense? Big question.
We needed more than 30 seconds to talk about the 76ers because Philadelphia has been all over the place. They're a team that's been disappointing, obviously. Joel Embiid's out there on social media doing things. Ben Simmons, people want him to take more shots. What is going on with the 76ers in your mind?
There's a lot of drama and negative narratives that they have got to navigate. I'm not prepared to give up on them because I believe they're that gifted and talented. 2 of the best position guys in the league. But you've got a couple of things going on here. Number one, you've got the best and most dominant low post scorer. But the guy who's got the ball in his hands, Ben Simmons, quite often wants to play downhill. He wants to get in transition. So your 2 stars are elite at what they do, but is their fit perfect? Probably not. Do they have enough shooting? Maybe not. But this is an organization that came out of the gates talking championship top to bottom. That puts a lot of pressure on you.
Okay, when you think about the 76ers when they're at their best, and maybe why you're not willing to give up on them like maybe some people, are they the best team in the East if they're functioning the way that they should be?
I can make the case that their starting lineup is as talented as any team in the league. Now, they're having some rotation issues because right before the All-Star break, they took Al Horford out, put Furkan Korkmaz in. I think they know that they need more spacing, more shooting. But then Furkan Korkmaz goes out and goes 0 for 5. So can his jump shot and the things he's built up in terms of confidence last in a playoff series? That remains to be seen.
They're still that scary team, as you said, but a lot of people wondering how you figure out everything going on in Philadelphia. Doris Burke with her second half headlines. We're going to get back to football next on Get Up. All about the draft. Tua Tagovailoa may be moving up. Joe Burrow is saying some things that Bengals fans don't want to hear. Where Mel Kiper has both big-name quarterbacks in his latest mock draft. He debuted it earlier on our show, and we're talking